Hello and welcome back to art class. What we're going to do today is we're going to finish up our shapes today. We're not going to probably get to finishing the whole picture today, but we are going to get at least all our shapes completed today. All right, so we should have 4 shapes that are exploding out from our vanishing point, which is in the center of our paper. We use different items to make the squares and rectangles and circles. You could have used a sticky notepad. I was using last week some Legos that I turned into a square, Duplos. You're just finding things around the house that will make these shapes because you're not here at school for me to give you those items. I used a cup for my circle, pretty easy. Today I want to do a rectangle, and I'm going to be using a crayon box for that because that's nice and skinny and will fit perfectly right in that spot. A couple items that you're going to need. You're going to need your ruler, your eraser, your drawing, and you're going to want your square again, you're going to want your circle, and you're going to want a rectangle. And you're also going to want crayons in general for this project. So having a crayon box is kind of handy for 2 reasons, because it's got the crayons in it and because we're actually going to trace the box itself. I could do the big rectangle this way, but honestly it takes up way too much space. So what I am going to do is I'm going to trace it standing up. Now if you don't have a crayon box but you have some other rectangle that would work, that will be fine as well. And trace it in this open space right here. I'm going to go in and clean up my corners here. Okay, so from last week, if we remember the rules, when we are drawing lines from our shape to the vanishing point, we first figure out how many corners we have to deal with. So a rectangle has 4 corners, right? Okay. Then we think about how many corners can actually go to the vanishing point without cutting through the shape. And so we could line up our ruler to figure this out. So there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. And then we look at this last one, and this last one in the back can't do it because I'd have to cut through right through the shape. So that helps me out knowing I only have to draw 3 lines. Okay. Now, what I want you to do is another circle, but I have a circle down here at the bottom, so I'm going to put a circle here at the top. And if you've changed your cup, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure it's not massively huge. We won't want a cup so big that it actually overlaps things. I'm using the bottom of the cup and not the top. And remember that because this is a round object, I have to go to where the sides would be, right? Because there are no corners. So I'll line up my vanishing point with there. And take your time when you're lining it up. Being kind of close will look terrible. You really do need to take the time, make sure everything lines up really, really well. Some of you might recognize like this shape. If you look at the cartoons, and if you're a Batman fan like I am, this is how they draw the light coming out from the little light thing that would be on the roof from the police station, and then they would have their big Batman symbol right there inside the circle. That's how they get that look, like it's shooting off into the clouds. All right, next, I am going to, I kind of locked out, and the way I have this belt is got a little circle, or not circle, shape on the inside, square, so I'm actually going to use that to my advantage. And just turn it this way so it looks like a little square or diamond. Right? Now I look at it again, I got to figure out, it's got 4 corners, we know that. How many can actually line up to the vanishing point? Get 2 because this one actually has to cut through the shape, and this one cuts through the shape as well. Okay. Now, again, these are pretty much, I'm just repeating the same shapes I've done before, and that's kind of what I wanted to do, is get practice with the same shapes. So that's pretty easy. So I haven't done anything really new today other than maybe the rectangle, but remember a square and a rectangle are actually very, very similar. Next step, after we've got our total of 8 shapes, we're gonna go in, get rid of the VP. We don't need that anymore. I do want you to keep the dot, but just get rid of the letters that are right there. And then the next step is to do some coloring. So you're gonna pick a color. It doesn't really matter. White is not a good color for this project, but all the other ones are pretty good if you're careful with them. I'm gonna pick this, it's called indigo. It's just a bluish color. And the way this works, to help really sell the idea of it kind of exploding out, we're going to outline our shape first. And with the fold, just be careful there. Remember, we got this extra piece of paper here, so when you're coloring, be careful. The shape is going to be really dark, so color it as dark as the color will go. So you may have to color this area a couple of times to make sure it's nice and dark. Okay, so my shape is not colored. Now I'm gonna deal with this part here. It's slightly different. It does get outlined, so take your time with your outline. But you're gonna color this part really lightly, as light as you can go with the color. And make sure you start from the vanishing point working towards the shape. It helps make it look like it's exploding out because of the way your coloring marks are going. Okay, next, pick a new color. All right, green. You're gonna do the same thing here. You're gonna outline your shape first. All right, so I need you to get about halfway through the coloring. Don't worry if you don't complete all the coloring today, because there's actually something we need to do to the background next week. So just getting the 4 extra shapes in, making sure everything's nice and straight, and getting about half of the coloring of the shapes done is where I need you to be. Then I need you to upload a photo of this to Google Classroom for me so I can see that you got this far. And then next week we will wrap this up. So we'll be doing some finishing coloring, which is pretty easy, and then there's some background drawing that we need to do, which is not super hard, but we don't have enough time today for that. So upload your picture, send it to Google, and I will see you next week.